They say a king must always put his kingdom first. But what if doing that meant breaking his own heart? This is the story of Oba Esigie of the Benin Kingdom and the woman he loved, Idia. It is a story of war, betrayal, and impossible choices. It is not just a love story. It is about the weight of leadership and the sacrifices that come with power. The night was thick with the scent of burning wood. The drums of war echoed in the distance, a steady, menacing rhythm that signaled what was to come. Inside the grand palace of Benin City, a young prince stood before his dying father. Oba Ozoyoa, the great warrior king, was breathing his last. The room was silent except for his labored breaths. Esigie, his younger son, knelt beside him, gripping his father's frail hand. Ozoyoa's eyes, once sharp and commanding, were now clouded with pain. "Listen to me, my son," he whispered. "A storm is coming. Your brother, he will not accept peace." Esigie clenched his jaw. He knew what his father meant. His older half-brother, Awanran, had always been a threat. Though Esigie was Ozoyoa's chosen successor, Awanran was the eldest, and he would not let go of his claim to the throne without a fight. Ozoyoa's grip tightened. "Be careful who you trust, Esigie. Power is a lonely road." With that, the great warrior king exhaled his final breath. The room fell deathly still. Outside, the people wailed in mourning. But Esigie knew that grief would not last long. The real battle was about to begin. Before he was king, before what tore his family apart, Esigie was just a young man in love. Her name was Idia. She was unlike any woman he had ever known, sharp-witted, strong-willed, and unafraid to speak her mind. While other noblemen busied themselves with palace gossip, Idia studied war, medicine, and the art of spiritual protection. Their love had been a secret at first. A prince and a woman of common birth, it was a match the kingdom would never accept. But Esigie didn't care. He was captivated by her mind, her fire, and her unwavering loyalty. One night, as they met in the palace gardens, Idia placed a hand on his chest, looking into his eyes. "You will be king soon," she said softly. "And when that time comes, you will have enemies at your door. But you won't face them alone." Esigie had smiled, believing that nothing could take her away from him. But he had been wrong. The chiefs of Benin had already made their decision. They would never allow Idia to be queen. The death of Oba Ozoyoa was the spark that lit the fire. As Esigie prepared to take the throne, Awanran declared war. From Udo, his province stronghold, he gathered a vast army, rallying warriors who believed that the eldest son should rule. Esigie was outnumbered. His father's warriors were divided, and some of the most powerful chiefs refused to support him. But Esigie had Idia. She saw what the others did not. She studied Awanran's battle strategies, predicting his movements. She trained Esigie's warriors in the art of spiritual warfare, protecting them from dark magic. And when the first battle came, it was Idia's guidance that led Esigie to victory. But the war was far from over. Awanran's forces struck again, this time with greater strength. Esigie's soldiers fought bravely, but they were being pushed back. One night, as Esigie and Idia sat in his war tent, a messenger arrived, breathless and pale. "My king," he gasped. "The chiefs, they have turned against you." Esigie's blood ran cold. Esigie called a meeting of his council. He could see it in their faces, the doubt, the hesitation. The chiefs who had once pledged loyalty to him now looked away, unwilling to meet his gaze. One of the eldest chiefs stepped forward. "Your Highness," he said, his voice slow and measured. "There are those who say that you are not fit to rule." Esigie's fist tightened. "Because I refused to bow to my brother. Because you refused to let go of her." The room fell silent. "Idia." Esigie's heart pounded. He knew this was coming, but hearing it out loud felt like a dagger to the chest. The chief continued. "You have allowed a woman, not of noble blood, to influence you. It is unthinkable. The kingdom does not belong to lovers, Oba. It belongs to tradition." Esigie's voice was sharp. "Without Idia, I would not be standing here. Without her, you would all be bowing to my brother." Another chief shook his head. "Then make your choice. The woman, or the throne." The words hit Esigie like a hammer. His hands trembled with rage. But deep down, he knew this was not a choice he could avoid. That night, he went to Idia. She already knew what had happened. She could see it in his face. "They gave you an ultimatum," she said quietly. Esigie lowered his head. "They will never accept you as my queen." Idia nodded slowly. "Then I will not be your queen." Esigie looked up, shocked. Idia took his hands in hers. "You were born to rule, Esigie. If I must step back for you to keep your throne, then I will." Esigie closed his eyes, pain beyond words. He had fought so hard for her. He had dreamed of a future where they ruled together. But in the end, duty had won. Esigie did not abandon Idia. He could not. Instead, he did something that had never been done before. He created a new title, IYOBA, Queen Mother. No woman had ever held such a position in Benin's history. She was given land, wealth, and power. She could rule in his name, train warriors, and lead the kingdom's spiritual defenses. It was not the life they had imagined together. But it was power, and it was respect. And it was Idia who saved the kingdom. When Awanran launched his final attack, he believed he would win. He had gathered an army larger than before, certain that Esigie's forces were weak. But he had not counted on Idia. She led Esigie's warriors into battle, using strategies that left the enemy confused and vulnerable. She broke their spirits, using psychological warfare and supernatural defenses that made them believe they were fighting ghosts. Awanran's men scattered. The war was over. Esigie stood victorious. And at his side was Idia, not as his wife, but as his greatest general. Idia's influence did not end with Esigie. The title of IYOBA became a permanent position in the Benin Kingdom. Every future king's mother was given the same power, the same respect. And centuries later, her face remains immortalized in Benin's famous bronze plaques, a symbol of power and resilience. Esigie had chosen his kingdom over love. But in the end, Idia had won. Not as a wife, not as a queen, but as a legend. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. And please like this video, leave a comment and share it to your friends.